backfield with the addition of Chicago. I like G2, and it's a rematch of DreamHack Leipzig. We talked about it on the desk a little bit. But we'll see if Bread is able to overcome their downfalls from that tournament and come back and get some vengeance here.
Bread, now known as Space Station Gaming. What kind of bread do you think they were?
Rye,
definitely. Space Station here coming on the offense early, and Gibbs said he wanted to see Sathu. There they go, getting a goal here just within 16 seconds of kickoff.
And it really was just Sipical's challenge mechanics there going up the wall. He couldn't allow him. If you go too low, it'll just go right over the top of you and pinch out to the ceiling and roll out into the middle. So making sure you can get above that challenge angle, drive it down through Chicago. Nice job from Sipical.
Excellent challenges on the following kickoff as well. Rizzo will win one, but now Sathu to Sipical up high again, bouncing out. It'll be J-Naps with the clear back to midfield, following it himself. Sathu and Sipical on the front line. Chicago trying to play between them. AXB now back to the side. Rizzo follows him wheel to wheel. Wins another challenge, bulldozes through, gets the pass out to J-Naps, but Sipical will block the shot. Chicago looking back into the corner as Sathu tries to get it that way and gets it through one and back into the midfield.
And the biggest problems... Oh, that's a good save.
Found the block. A good play.
But the biggest problems for Space Station in DreamHack, it wasn't necessarily that they were outclassed per se. It was really the minutia that G2 were beating them at. Proper approaches on challenges, better boost management, overall picking apart passing lanes. They will not succeed here. Sipical has a chance to double tap. AXB follow through and also off the bar. 0 for 2 on a couple of chances. G2 actually gives up a little bit of possession, but everyone running away for Space Station will let G2 out.
Rizzo setting up J-Naps now back into the corner once more. Sathu tries to clear it away, but Chicago's got other ideas. Back to J-Naps dropping down in front of the box. Rizzo's nowhere to be seen, coming now into the corner. Chicago follows it. Sipical looking for the play, and Chicago wins. Here comes Rizzo looking for the setup off the wall and back in the middle. J-Naps is up and onto the backboard. Chicago on the far side, though. No follow-up shot for G2 as Sathu gains ball control and pushes it into the blue corner.
And a free ball as well for AXB. Top of the box for Sipical. Almost the first one there, met by Rizzo. Chicago on transition. Sathu already back, ready to play out of the corner. That's another thing that G2 had a lot of success back at DreamHack. Whenever they were able to box Space Station in, they were able to eventually wear them down. So it'll be curious if we ever see that situation arise in this series, because currently, for the first 2.5 minutes, it's just been banging the ball back and forth, and AXB finds a wide open net from the middle of the pitch.
This came off the touch from Chicago, coming down 3 players there. AXB is the only one who gets a bumper onto it. It looked like it could have gone in many different directions, but nobody in the back hurts G2, and now up by 2. Space Station Gaming starting to make a statement.
Well, they were caught cheating up a little bit too hard. They thought they had read the distance of that challenge a little bit better than was actually the case, and the third man caught a little overconfident.
2:36 on the clock, approaching halftime. G2 yet to score. The AXB looks to set up Sathu. Rizzo will intercept, but Sipical's there to pick it up. Chicago, and it back to the corner. 3 players for Space Station Gaming over here in the corner. Chicago passes it over across. AXB back to Sathu. Look at that interception and transition. Space Station Gaming playing quickly as Sathu comes off the ceiling, beats Chicago. Sipical looks at it, but J-Naps is in front of him, blocking any opportunity to score, and gets it back to the midfield.
And that was one of the ringing endorsements of Jazzo back at WSOE. What do you feel Chicago gives you? A great challenge game. And here, Sathu has beat him every time, and he'll take this one out of the corner as he wins another one at the top of the box.
AXB is controlling this midfield. Every time G2 tries to get out to score, AXB is like, nope, I've got this ball in here. Back to one of my teammates, and they move it back in. There were 3 players from Space Station Gaming surrounding the box, nobody in goal. There was no way that wasn't going in.
Just a poor clear from Chicago off the back wall. Drove it straight down instead of out. And Space Station almost got me. They're cruising here in game number 1. It really is G2's game to figure out what's going on.
J-Naps with a nice pop over 1, but Sipical will tap it back into the corner. J-Naps rotates with Rizzo. Rizzo into the midfield. Sathu's there, sends the shot on, and J-Naps gets it off to the side. Chicago will look to extend the play, but AXB's got the read. Chicago dunks him now into the corner. An opportunity for G2 finally.
Ooh.
Back in front of the box, but a heavy bounce. Rizzo's got to find a way to get this one under control, and he struggled after 2 touches. Finally, some help from his teammate might give it to him, but AXB's there.
And if Rizzo had been able to bang that one off the back wall instead of off the ceiling, G2 might have been able to really put together a strong offensive drive, but here's their first chance to maybe hold on to it. But AXB, as well as Rizzo and J-Naps running straight into each other, it won't make a difference that time, but definitely something to worry about if you're G2. Not often does that happen.
I'm amazed JNAPS came out with ball control after that. That looked like a guaranteed fourth goal. But with 50 seconds remaining here, Spacestation Gaming looking very much in control of game number 1 as another one gets through the back line of G2. Sathu to hook it around, put it back into the box. JNAPS gets back in time, but it's all too little too late here. G2 is going to have to find a way to get onto offense, as right now it's just been all Space Station. Only 2 shots for G2 here in game 1.
Yeah, I really do think this is the alarm clock is still ringing for G2 in game number 1. Just a lot of weird scenarios that they never found themselves in. They'll get one back at the end of game number 1 just to get the engine woke up and get the heater going, but just a nice challenge from JNAPS and AXB missing the clear. Rizzo willing to push forward because who cares at this point with 25 it down by 3. Let's see if something goes into the back, and it does.
If they can get a kickoff goal here.
It's not done for sure.
This one or off, won it with a few seconds remaining. There's still an opportunity. Nice neutral challenges. Rizzo moves up, gets a demolition on the 1. AXB has not had time to get boost yet. Now JNAPS does, but wins the challenge anyways. AXB getting that one up and burning time. Chicago plays it off the wall, and now here comes Rizzo, a clanger from midfield. It's just a bit too high. 8 seconds remaining. Sathu's there before JNAPS can do anything with it. At this point, there's not enough time left to score 2 goals. It's going to be Space Station Gaming taking game number 1. G2 starting to put something together there at the end. We'll see if they can continue it in game 2.
Yeah, starting to put a few things together, but to me the big winner for this game was Sathu's challenge game against Chicago. And Chicago, again, I was talking about it just a little bit before I could really complete the point. It was Chicago's biggest asset for why they enjoyed his presence on this G2 lineup was that ability to win challenges, get the balls going the other way. And in the entirety of that first half, maybe even the first 3 or 4 minutes, Chicago just couldn't win a challenge against anybody. So well done on Space Station, getting a lot of those challenges, keeping the ball on G2's half, because that's where Space Station really struggled at DreamHack. They couldn't break out when G2 was just able to break them down consistently.
And Space Station there, 10 shots to the 3 from G2, significantly more offensive pressure demonstrated on the scoreboard. The player I was most impressed with was AXB in that midfield. I mentioned him. He doesn't show up much on the scoreboard because he's just kind of doing rotational movement, just dumping the ball off to his teammates. He's giving it. Sathu's winning the challenges. Let's give him the ball over and over again. And moments where it really looked like, this is the moment G2's going to break out and get some offensive pressure going. It was AXB saying, nope, I'm going to take that ball. I'm going to give it back to Sathu. You got to deal with him again.
And Sipical as well, because I believe they talked about him on the desk a little bit, is he's both him and AXB, both very mechanical players. And Sipical really didn't even have to do too much that game. In terms of being a mechanical wizard, he was like, I'll be there if you need me. It really was AXB and Sathu just pushing that ball continuously back onto the G2 half. So game number 2, expecting better challenges from G2.
Both teams cheat up. Both teams with neutral play, and Sathu gets out of the corner boost first. Moves the ball into G2 territory, but JNAPS now with a nice loft. Chicago up, and he won't be able to find the shot. Doesn't find a second touch either. 2 players in the corner, tackled by JNAPS. Sipical finds the ball control now. Chicago and Rizzo double committed on the wall. This leaves a wide open space as they jump the ball back down to Sipical. Chicago will be able to win the tackle, but still positioning mistakes with lots of time to figure it out beforehand. Brings some question marks up for G2.
Rizzo's on the Dominus, I just realized.
I think he's been on Dominus. He was in Dominus game 1 as well. Traditionally an Octane.
An Octane guy, yeah. I wonder why. I mean, it could just be because they like him on defense and get a lot of power on the clears, but Sipical off the back wall. Sathu can't dunk one home over the last defender, but still Space Station pressing, and JNAPS, beautiful touch out to safety.
So challenges again. Sipical with another shot, a banger that Chicago blocks. Sathu dumping it into the box once more, and Rizzo gets up and in the way. As the pressure continues for Space Station, finally a clear down, and this looks like Space Station will be able to shut that one down just fine in the midfield. A number of the North American players have been switching over to Dominus of late. Just claiming it's got more clanging power.
Hey, man. Oh, my goodness. What?
That one's off an Octane, though. AXB coming out of the corner.
He actually got bumped by his teammate who was also challenging in the midfield. And the irony of that is it put him on the perfect trajectory for where Chicago was going to clear that ball. That's one of the rare times where double commits go exactly as you never planned.
Oh, thanks. We'll just take that one. Pinch out of the corner, and Space Station continues their run of goals. This one now off the backboard. Sathu tries to get in the way. Chicago couldn't quite put it there, but JNAP should be able to slip it under, and does. G2 now tying the game for the first time
just right off the kickoff. Sathu is always going to be in a tough position. The worst part is Chicago also had him dead to rights. It's just right on top of him. There was no way any clear was going to happen. So that kick straight up off the kickoff, playing well for G2. They played a little bit further back off the kickoff and were able to approach it from a much easier angle.
Chicago dumping this one deep in enemy territory. Sypical and Sathu with the response. Rizzo puts it in front of his own net. A dangerous play, but Chicago was able to get it away. And now JNAP's looking for the transition. Back to Chicago, onto the backboard.
Need help.
No one's there, but JNAP's thinks about shooting it himself. Doesn't quite get the roll. Here comes Rizzo onto the backboard once more. Chicago's there, and it goes to the side. Now Sathu in the corner has kind of the first touch of the ball, first pick of the choices. AXB not able to find anything. Here comes Rizzo. Off to the side with Sypical. Chicago, an opportunity. Gets it past one, and he'll get it into the goal. That's G2 with the lead. And
that really all goes back to AXB on that initial challenge. He went up for it. Everybody on Space Station was expecting him to just find a touch on the ball. And AXB just sailed right under it, just didn't make the read, was maybe expecting a touch off the ceiling and never got it. And that allowed G2 to just push straight forward, and great awareness from Chicago. Pass it to yourself, just beat the last man, and you'll score the open goal every time.
Ball takes a nice trip around the walls and the players and ends up in G2's back third. And finally a clear. As we approach halftime, G2 leading for the first time of the series. The pass out to Chicago. Oh, what a fake on AXB. Can't get it past Sypical, though. He goes back into the corner.
Great discipline from Sypical, not getting too antsy after he saw his teammate get beat. Just make the read you got and go with what you can in AXB to try and get Space Station going back the other way. They've caught Chicago on transition, but he's running interference on the midfield line. He bumps Sathu out and doesn't allow Space Station to cleanly go from defense to offense and equalize the game.
Sypical airborne. AXB rotating and prowling at midfield. Tries to get the ball back to Sathu and now back away. Leaves it for Sypical. Takes a shot towards the net, and Chicago will get it away. AXB looking to pass it back in once more. But a weak touch gives it to Chicago, and he gets a pass too. Now up against Sypical. Loses the challenge. AXB shot towards the goal. JNAPS to clear it away. Over the top of Sathu. Sypical backwards, but manages to stall the ball out. JNAPS looks for the pass. Just confuses AXB, who puts it into his own corner, and here comes Chicago. Now Sathu back down.
And Rizzo was really pressing hard on that last push, but he's got AXB in the top of the box. Rizzo took a little bit too long to figure out exactly where the pass was going up from the net, and JNAPS just couldn't keep that ball as close as he would have liked. He puts it right out in the middle at the top of his box for Space Station Gaming, and they will take that all day.
There are a few things I enjoy more than a good infield pass, and that one was beautiful. AXB impressing the heck out of me here in game number 2. Goes back in front. There's Sathu up. JNAPS can't get the block. Sathu puts it back down, and Chicago gets it away. Now loose in the midfield. Chicago up against Sypical. Challenge goes over the top of one. Sathu adjusts quickly and dumps it back into the blue corner. JNAPS with the pop upwards. Rizzo with the follow and the soft touch to drive it along. Back onto the backboard. Sypical's there. JNAPS once more back in. AXB out to Sathu. The transition, is this on target? It's going to be just a bit high. Couldn't clean it up. A great idea, great positioning, but just not good contact.
Yeah, he jumped really early for that ball. Was probably expecting something different, but when he'd already committed that hard that early, it's too tough to make the adjustment. Is AXB able to make a stop from the net? Chicago's going to be the first one to it. He's got the guy beat, but AXB off his own back wall in the net, able to make a great save.
That was a brilliant save and a great setup from G2. And here comes another infield pass, again blocked by Sathu. This time the defense holds with 28 seconds left. We're all tied up at 2. Been playing a lot of overtimes here on Wasteland today. We might be on board for another one as Rizzo gets it to JNAPS. Sypical blocks. Sathu waits his time and just puts it into the corner. Chicago couldn't get it past Sathu. Back to midfield. JNAPS the touch back in. Sypical with a response going toe-to-toe. It's out to Sathu onto the backboard. Rizzo and JNAPS both up. They'll get a lot of speed off it, but they have to sort themselves out quickly. Chicago helps them out. Dumps it all the way back into the corner. Now, no time on the clock. Chicago not going to find it. Sathu keeps this one alive, but JNAPS will slam it into the ground. We got overtime in game number 2.
That was a great job from Chicago on that last defensive sequence for G2. Like you said, a big double commit from Rizzo and JNAPS, and they got the ball out to the side, and Chicago really needed to make sure he didn't make a mistake and give up a 0-second and just punch that all the way to the other side. So OT, like you said, a lot on Wasteland today. We'll see who comes out here.
Both teams kind of get the first game jitters, the beginning of the season out of their fingers, and then everything kind of heats up. In game number 2, people have been going to overtime quite a bit. Typical now into the corner. Pass 1, Chicago blocks it before Sathy can make the shot. Now the flank down the field. He's got a teammate up helping interfere in the box.
Oh, here we go.
Down. Here comes Rizzo. 2 people in front of him. Sathy blocks it. Didn't even need Sipical in net.
Still pressuring his G2 as Sathu, that's the only touch he had to give Space Station Gaming any time of room. Cross to the top of the box. JNap's coming in. He's just a little late, but still able to buy maybe enough time. G2 will be in a bit of a weird spot here.
Sathu up to Sipical. Everybody on Space Station clearly paying attention and being aware of where their teammates are. Making sure every contact isn't just a contact towards the enemy goal, but it's a contact towards a team member. So we are 1:10 into overtime. Chicago boomed it up to Rizzo, blocked by Sipical. Here comes JNaps, able to put it onto the backboard, but not with contact that he can work with. Chicago stalls it out a little bit. Sathu up to Sipical. Should be just Rizzo in the back as ASB takes the shot. Sipical's shot also follows up. Can he get it? Double tap, triple tap. No, he misses the second one, and Rizzo gets it away. The Space Station comes down. They have the opportunities. Another one from AXP.
Oh, they missed the clear.
Sipical trying to get it through, and Chicago bumps him. Sipical still got ball control, but Rizzo couldn't make it, and JNaps will clear it away. Finally dumping it to the other end where they can breathe.
G2 scrambling for a few moments, and unfortunately, one of the biggest criticisms we had about Space Station at DreamHack was the shot accuracy. AXB with a great fake, but he doesn't catch the ball. Sathu with a second attempt. 1-2 off the back wall. Sipical to put it home. And again, I was just talking about it. The shot accuracy continues to plague them. They can't even bump JNaps out of the way and put the ball in the net. Another chance, and he still get there. Space Station. Oh, you hate to see it.
They've had about 400 shot opportunities here, and many of them beautifully crafted. Moments where it's like, oh, well, we got beat by the ball. Well, hey, I'm going to go bump the goalie now. And the shot just isn't there from the shooter. It comes down to the point of contact at the moment of opportunity. The Sathu tries to dump it out to Sipical, another opportunity, but Chicago's there this time. The ball has
finally.
It's been in the back third for G2 for a minute straight now. JNaps comes up, finally getting it out into the orange. Sipical to AXB onto the backboard. Rizzo's up, misses contact. Sathu's there, but Chicago meets him. Now JNaps down the field.
Wow, that was actually an open net back the other way.
It really feels like right now it's just going to come down to which team can bang the clanger from their own half.
Nice command from Rizzo. That's a couple of solid touches that he's tried to keep low and on the ground, either attached to him or a nice quick dish to his teammates to at least get G2 out of their own half, because that was a harrowing 45 seconds for them. Pass to Rizzo off the back wall, top of the box, and that one's kicked off the back wall. Chicago will give ground. Didn't feel confident taking the challenge, and the second effort will get him a stall.
This would be a very high-scoring game if it was worth any points to hit the crossbar. Both teams hitting the woodwork so much. Rizzo misses. Sipical can't find the follow-up, and he bumps AXB. An opportunity for G2. Chicago will try to take it. He gets bumped himself. Now looking for Sathu. Nearly finds it, but Sathu gets through two. And it's down to Rizzo, gets past one. He's able to scare off Sipical. 3 minutes and 50 seconds into overtime, approaching that fourth minute.
And Rizzo again charged with finding a teammate for a clear. He's got JNaps on the opposite wall, and maybe G2 will be able to hang onto a ball if they can win a challenge. Chicago will indeed do just that.
Coming up for the shot, Sipical's there. Back to midfield as JNaps lofts it for Rizzo. Sathu's got him. Chicago winning this one. Rizzo hanging on the back wall. Looking for opportunities. Here comes JNaps. Back over towards Chicago. An opportunity to score. The shot is high. All the defenders committing here for Space Station. It's Rizzo back off his own backboard. Across to midfield. Pace slowing down just a little bit. Sipical tries. It's high. Sathu thinks about it. He's got JNaps to get him through. And oh my goodness. I think Sipical was going for JNaps.
He was going for the demo. He was definitely going for the demo. But JNaps either way got his car on it. And Rizzo again trying to get possession for G2. Chicago will be in support here, challenging off the side wall. 1-2 pass, and JNaps to take that one away as well. And now it's back the other way. It's a wide open net. And Sipical out of the corner able to kick that to safety. And we're at 2 for 1 now. And Space Station should have won this maybe 3 minutes ago.
Free game he got here 5 minutes into overtime. Zagsby in the corner. JNaps blocks one. Chicago sitting and watching. Pinches it out, but there's a defender back. XB past one. Rizzo up, JNAP's airborne as well, winning the challenge in the air. It's all up to Sathu as he traps the ball and tries to carry it. JNAP's gets it off of him, but AXB's there. Space Station Gaming's ability to read pinches has been keeping them alive so heavily here in game 2. So AXB's got that awkward bounce. JNAP sends it to the side, and AXB out looking for G2's boost. Not going to find anything. And JNAP's flip off the wall. Don't think he meant to do that. As we cross into the 6th minute, mistakes are going to honestly become the difference maker.
Well, I got to give credit to G2's defense right now. Since that harrowing experience a few minutes ago where Space Station should have put the game away, since then, G2's defense has actually been lights out. Always able to make the tough touch, get it into a decent spot where your teammate can have a second opportunity at it. And while they may not have been able to generate enough offense, they're doing a great job boxing out this Space Station push.
Chicago lofted in the midfield, jams the field's backflip. Here comes Rizzo, puts it on the backboard. Chicago's airborne. Typical's not quite there, and here comes Jams with the last one. Oh, no! The opportunity was there. The shot was going in the goal, and he falls on it. Possibly
another chance.
Another follow-up. J-Naps fights it off the post, and it's out. The luck is not there. The woodwork is unforgiving, and we play on.
And Chicago has a chance to put it away, and that's not going to come to fruition. AXB, a booming clear off his back wall. J-Naps might be actually first to it. AXB gets a third touch, and Sathu with the help might be able to put this one away. Simpical into the net. 3-2, almost 7 minutes. Space Station get the win they deserve, you feel.
Space Station just wanted to play an extra 4 minutes of Rocket League, man. They're like, let's not play it for. Let's wait. Let's burn them out a little bit. And now up 2-0 on one of the big 3 of North America. Chicago trying to prove that he is the difference maker. He can elevate G2 to that #1 status they've been trying to be at for so long. And yet here, Space Station Gaming taking 2 games off of them. And you got to wonder, is a spirit broken after playing 11 minutes and losing? This goal could have been a difference maker. Space Station down by 1 with 1:35. The pass inwards, the infield. It's just a beautiful, beautiful play. Hard to read. That's why that is the cutting edge meta.
And those are the types of chances. Again, J-Naps, if he was able to keep that a little bit closer, maybe could have found a clear, but just hit it a little too hard. And those are the type of chances that Space Station will really capitalize on. You made a small mistake, but the onus is still on them. That's what we were talking about when we were casting a little bit earlier. You'll have to be able to capitalize on those half chances. G2 gave him a half chance. Not a perfect touch by J-Naps on defense. It's just a little bit too hard off the corner, and you still have to make the perfect pass for Space Station. The problem is they capitalized on the half chance, and then they generated like 6 of their own, and then they just didn't put it into the back of the net.
Well, and I mean, it's always weird to talk about stats in a game that was 11 minutes long, but 20 shots from Space Station Gaming, that's quite a large number, and only 9 saves that G2 had to put up during that time. It tells you the accuracy. You brought it up in the middle of the match. It's been something that's plaguing them. They could have easily put that game away significantly earlier with a bit more accuracy.
That is Space Station's biggest drawback when it comes to offense, is that shooting accuracy. Because again, Gibbs and I at DreamHack were like, they're making day 3. It's a team out of the Rivals series that looks dime for dime like a rival or RLCS team. And unfortunately, they can't be any more monetary than that, just because those shots that should go in sometimes don't.
Civical trying to advance, gets pitted in the midfield. J-Naps now. The fresh start, fresh scoreboard, fresh clock. Try to shake off the blues of losing a marathon game. Let's see if they can get the reverse sweep here on Space Station. Making an RLCS debut. This is a fantastic way to send a message to the rest of North America. Sathu out to Cipical, looking for the shot. J-Naps applying contact. Chicago comes up back in the middle. Here comes J-Naps. Cipical's there first. Gets it all the way back to G2's half.
And again, Rizzo charged with coming up with some great defensive touches. But G2's ability to hang on to the ball after they get those clears hasn't been the best we've ever seen. And here's another opportunity where G2, J-Naps just couldn't manage the speed. That ball was coming at him a little bit too hard from too high. And finally, it takes a couple of creative touches at the midfield line, but even still, Space Station immediately refuted and forced G2 on the defensive.
Yeah, it was a beautiful extension from Chicago, but they couldn't
make it 2.
Typical Rizzo with a threat of possibly own goaling, wisely stays off the ball. But Space Station playing fantastic and aggressive Rocket League there.
There we go.
A retaliation from G2.
There's a much-needed hole opened by Chicago with that demo, as it's allowed them to go on offense, and a quick dribble from the top of the box. And an easy save for Sathu. They had 2 on the line.
Everything about that play was great, except for the shot was just too vanilla. Just right there. Very easy for the defense to read. Here comes Typical looking for a response. Couldn't find it, but
there we go.
Got it. They play such quick and tight defense and offense the way that they're always shadowing each other. And like, Typical misses and Sathu's right there.
Well, it's that hard press from Space Station, that challenge around the corner from Rizzo attempting to clear the ball that really sets that up. Because if there's even any more space allowed there, Rizzo's able to catch up to that ball and make a second effort challenge. And just the fact Space Station waiting and all 3 so close, that's that aggressiveness from a team that's all on offense. They know what page they're all on, and they're willing to take those risks.
Space Station leads in game 3 on match point. 2 minutes and 50 seconds away from sweeping G2. This one across the goal. Rizzo had to just sit and watch as the ball went by. Unable to get out and sneak it in. JNAP's trying to get it through some small ball there. Gets it in front of the goal, but Chicago.
He did not believe that at all. He was waiting there like, yeah, if you get it, but you're not going to. And that's always when they surprise you with a couple of crazy challenges off the ceiling, and Typical taps it out to the corner. Space Station still has not been boxed into their own half at all, similar to DreamHack, because that was one of the biggest calling cards. G2 had no problem boxing in Space Station. Now,
oh baby,
tables have been turned.
Rizzo was able to do the work he needed to, get the play over the side and then block the follow-up as well. He was the last man standing. He gets another save here in the midfield, doing excellent work on defense, keeping G2 in this. 1 minute, 58 seconds remaining. G2 trailing by 1. Typical and Sathu in the mid. AXB, very tight positioning from all of Space Station here. If you can just get it past him. A guaranteed goal as Rizzo gets one and Chicago will sneak it in. They grouped up in the midfield, and then it was just one bump away to tie the game for G2.
It's that aggressive push from Chicago. He knows if he goes all out, he can beat both players off the midfield line, and it leaves them in a 2-on-1 situation. Nice job from Rizzo to continue that play. Didn't make a quality first touch, got support from his teammates and said, all right, you've made a big play, let's capitalize, and they tie it up.
Typical lofting following kickoff. JNAP's challenge drops down. AXB can't quite get up in time. So the ball was seriously moving there. Sathu and AXB in the midfield. Put it over the side. Typical's there. Sathu lurking, watching Chicago's touch. Now moving into the corner. Typical half rotates, puts it back in front. AXB's looking in, charging in. He looks to get it out to his teammates again. Despite being surrounded by G2 players, makes the contact, but here comes Rizzo. Sathu moved a little bit too far in, and now Typical in net alone as JNAPS moves up to challenge. Sathu looks to extend, makes contact. Approaching the final minute of game 3, G2 looking for the lead to extend the series. JNAPS up. Rizzo getting into the box.
What a fake.
Chicago thinks about it, but he just gives AXB too much time to read it.
Just faked that ball because Typical was ready to jump at him. Rizzo feeds the ball to JNAPS off the back wall, and G2 going to have to give ground because a long clear from Sathu. Tipped to safety by Chicago, and a nasty pinch going back the other way. Sathu diving, able to make a touch. And a close one for Space Station.
Typical putting it up. Here comes AXB. 30 seconds remaining in regulation. Coming off of a 6-minute overtime. I think both teams would like to avoid overtime. But that's not how you want to do it for Space Station as JNAPS taps it under 1. 22 seconds left and G2's got the lead. Chicago
just wins the challenge in the midfield. Typical just misses the read a little bit. He knows G2 is going to be pressing hard and he needs to make the touch there. And he rushed it just a smidge. And JNAPS said, let's just put it on target.
22 seconds left. Can Space Station find that last-minute goal again? AXB over the top. This one's looking dangerous. 2 defenders go up. Still not out of the woods for G2 as AXB puts it up. 10 seconds remaining. Chicago now out to midfield. Sathu's there, but isn't going to be able to find it. Oh, but Typical's there as nobody challenged from G2 back into the corner. Chicago lost it down, and JNAPS will get this one towards the goal. A clanger off the crossbar. Rizzo's up, and Sathu not going to be able to do anything with it. Too difficult of a situation. G2 send us to game 4.
Well, there's one on the track back for G2, and it's going to be a long one because Space Station not able to have the same offensive dominance as they were in games 2, 3, and 1. Or 2 and 1, excuse me, because this is game 3.
Was game 3.
This was game 3. But let's go ahead and take a look at the go-ahead goal from JNAPS at 19 seconds on the clock. It really was just Chicago blasting one, and again, Typical, he had to rush this play because, again, He understood, here comes G2. My team got caught too far forward, and you're in a 2-on-1. You got to make the touch, and it's a tough one.
One thing I've been very impressed with Spacestation is when they have support, they are really making the contact. When they have the freedom of, if I miss this, you've got it right now. They are that rotational positioning is giving them the freedom and the peace of mind to make these immaculate contact over and over and over again. And we've seen them multiple times getting faked, particularly by JNaps, and it just doesn't matter. Because when he fakes one person, the other person has time to read it and understand where he's going to be and always wins the challenge that follows. But in a situation like that where they don't see them with the support behind them, that's when the mistakes start to
Well, that's actually the funniest thing about it, because in DreamHack, you had that same scenario plenty of times. Spacestation would be caught on transition. They handled the rotation just fine. They're like, all right, we got put in a bad spot, and they would make the touch to safety. And the problem was when they were boxed in on defense, and they couldn't properly rotate and hang with that. So it's funny to see the inverse happen here in Week 1 of League play. Obviously, it's been a few weeks, but it's just ironic.
Well, Game 4 underway. Both teams send the cheat up. Chicago wins the challenge. Sipical is able to push it through one. Beaten by the defense. Sathu now off the wall. JNaps carries this past AXB. Into the orange. It'll be Sipical. Up to Sathu towards the backboard. Rizzo keeps this one away. The ball's spinning a lot of time near the ceiling right now as everybody is punting. JNaps to Chicago, blocked by Sipical in the box. Rizzo and JNaps, a bit of confusion on the rotation. Sathu and AXB tight. Here comes Chicago. Sipical's up, but he puts it onto the corner and in. An excellent placement from Chicago.
It might have looked like a bit of a hiccup on the midfield at first, but it was actually JNaps making sure he didn't hit Rizzo as he let Rizzo take that ball, and they just didn't want to ruin this opportunity to put Spacestation in a bad spot. So good communication nets them a quality chance on goal, and well done from Chicago with a perfect placed ball into the upper corner and unsavable.
AXB with Sathu in support. They get it across the box. Nobody there to work with. JNaps now with the air ballerina moves. Chicago with a shot and saved by AXB. So much effort, so much boost spent, and AXB makes it all for naught at the goal line as the transition comes out. Rizzo turning, picking this one up. Sipical challenges it off of him. JNaps is right there to pick it up and keep the drive going. He's got Chicago behind him to work with. Past AXB and in front of the box. Chicago now back across. Rizzo lurking in the midfield, looking for the opportunity. AXB in Chicago. Bonk this one back out towards midfield, and now AXB up towards Sathu. No contact made, but in front of the box, AXB's there to slam it home. An equally difficult shot to block, especially when there's nobody in net.
Yep, nothing need be said too much here. It's a pass up to somebody on Spacestation. Either way, G2 got caught on transition, and that miss on the pass actually gave Chicago a chance to find that clear, but he just couldn't quite make the touch, and Spacestation will score on transition nonetheless.
Tie game. Sathu bumping Chicago. Here comes AXB with a lofter. JNaps, not a lot of speed on this ball or on JNaps, so it's going to be just kind of lazy coming off his contact. Sathu the pass across. Nobody home. JNaps will make it up to Chicago. There's Rizzo. Back out JNaps and Chicago both in front of the box. Here comes Rizzo once more. Play down the field. Rizzo fell back. Will be able to pick this one up. Chicago now looking for Riz again. Sipical getting in the way.
These passes from G2. They're trying to cover too much of the field at one time, and it's allowing Spacestation to understand exactly where that ball is trying to be put to. Allows them to cut it down quite easily.
But so far, G2's managed to hold on to the ball.
Much better than games 1 and 2, for sure.
Chicago and Sipical both with a miss. Sathu moving in quickly. A tight rotation. Always filling in the gaps. Sipical up to Sathu, wins the challenge. Into the corner, Rizzo. Out to AXB, a shot towards the goal and in. No, JNaps was there, but the shot was wide.
Chicago able to win another strong challenge coming out of his own half, and he forces Sipical to wait an extra moment, and it allowed G2 to come up and press fairly heavily, but they need to make sure they gain possession, and Rizzo a great touch back to Chicago, back to JNaps, and G2 managing that aggressive positioning quite well, despite not winning it, but Chicago goes right through one and behind the other, the lead to G2.
You said it, the plays, the strong touches back to hold on to ball control. And Chicago able to muscle that one through the front line. And the goal line was off to the side. A 1-goal lead for G2, 2 minutes remaining.
And if you're Space Station, well, you're kind of wondering exactly what went wrong. Games 1 and 2, you weren't having much problem boxing G2 in on their own half. And again, I really do feel it goes back to the challenge game. They've just started getting a better handle on these challenges on the G2 half, and it's made it that much harder for Space Station. And here's a decent opportunity for them to maybe get something going, but it all depends on how EXP can hang on to this.
G2 is just tightened up in the 1v1 department. They've started winning more challenges. I don't think AXB and company here have changed much. Space Station has been playing the same game. G2's just woken up after games 1 and 2.
I agree.
But still, this game, and then one more after it, both of which, if Space Station were to get a victory in.
Oh, here we go. Here's a chance. AXB needs to make a miss.
Sathu tries to come on in. And another miss from Sypical. It'll be Rizzo moving this one out over the top of AXB. A good opportunity come and gone. And then the miss on the back end. Another goal for G2, up by 2 now.
And they had the chance. They made a miss on defense, but they didn't really have a quality chance after that. It kind of just got stuck right in the corner. And they lost that challenge, got beat on transition, and they missed the clear.
An excellent job by Chicago, moving in on that, trusting Rizzo to make that save. We've seen that shot, that pass come through multiple times for G2, but it's a very difficult pass to read. It's very quick, crosses the goal.
You got to know it's coming.
Yeah, you basically have to pre-jump it. Chicago's there. Makes it happen, 45 seconds remaining.
7 shots for Chicago in game number 4 as well. And here's a beautiful 1-2 off the kickoff. That's not off the kickoff. Why'd I say that? I don't know.
It's pretty close. AXB up to Sathu. This is something they do all the time. Many of our teams are getting really good at it as well. The player who loses a challenge is now just a cherry pick of field. Something that teams have been doing for seasons, but we've seen it demoed a lot today. Sathu gets through. Is that in? Oh my goodness, and he ties the game. Sathu by himself wins the kickoff and wins the challenge.
That one definitely off the kickoff. JNaps thought he could get there, and boy, was he close.
He perfectly rolled off the ball to maintain his momentum. No boost. Spent all the boost getting to the ball in the first place, just managed to keep his speed, get back in this, and now Space Station Gaming, a tie game with 30 seconds remaining. The ball in their own corner.
And that'll make your heart race a little bit more if you're G2. From a comfortable 2-goal lead, under 1 minute to tied and in a battle, to maybe drop your first series of league play as a member of the Big Three.
Chicago dropping this down. Sathu now back out to Sypical. JNaps is looking for the read as there's 10 seconds remaining. We've seen overtime between these teams already. Rizzo comes in. He wants to end it now. Back out to Chicago. AXB blocks him. JNaps is there. The shot.
The demo.
Listen, JNaps hits it as Rizzo clears the way. 2 seconds from game 5.
And it's the recognition from G2. They know it's a great chance, and Rizzo, that's twice now. All right, you guys behind me have made a big play. Let's make sure the door's open. And JNaps delivers a big one.
The last-second heroics, the lifeblood of G2 right now as they win games 3 and 4 in the waning seconds. And now, on to game 5. We had, 3 game 5s in a row here? It's been exciting first week.
Well, we said match of the week here, and you're getting it because Space Station has shown leaps and bounds of improvement from DreamHack when they last played, because it was a fairly easy win for G2. Gibbs and I were both like, Space Station looks great, and then G2 just went out and walked all over them at DreamHack, and here, even still, with G2 figuring out how to really handle this Space Station game, it's still tight. 3 and 4 were both 1-goal games.
AXB did his best to get in front of that ball. He gets one hit, but he bounces off it in a way where he has no way to follow it and keep the pressure on behind that. And JNaps just needed a clear path, and Rizzo said, I got you. Here you go. Let's go to game 5. Let's win on Champions Field. Let's go to 1-0 in the standings. The names of all the players who have ever been world champion hanging in the rafters of Champions Field. Every one of these players looking to get their name up there. Kenobi.
The only one right now.
The only player who was, but he's no longer on G2, so nobody now. Yeah. That's the thing I used to be able to say about G2.
You know, it's unfortunate, but it still is a quality opportunity here for this G2 roster. Mm-hmm. They've looked like they've picked, like you said, a great roster pickup in Chicago. And is it another team that can maybe make a strong run with a championship? Well, winning your first game in league play would set a good precedent for that at least.
Game number 5. Rizzo set to take the kickoff from G2's side. They'll win against Typical. AXB leaves it for Sathu, and ultimately kickoff will be won by Spacestation. Rizzo and JNaps coming on out. AXB wins a challenge. Rizzo's got the read, holds on to it. Gets second touch on Typical. Sathu into the corner. Chicago up to play it back down to the middle. Here comes JNaps with a shot.
You can do nothing.
G2 play. That's the sort of stuff we love to see it, and Chicago's fitting right in.
AXB rotating back into his net from the other side of the field, and he saw that go to the top of the box, didn't even realize that JNaps was on the other side, pushed forward, saw him come out, and you could feel the recognition. I made a mistake, and boy did ya. It's 1-0 G2.
Was in danger. Chicago onto the side. JNaps looking for the read, and he's up. Plays it towards the box. AXB back out. Typical to extend it, but Rizzo's got the read. Now Chicago Airborne will get beat by Sathu. Now towards the box again. Typical plays it over to the side instead of giving JNaps the free touch. Chicago back down to the midfield. Rizzo to carry this one fast towards the goal. Typical gets in the way, and AXB up to try and block the follow from JNaps. Now they just got to get it past Chicago, but he gets it back into the corner. G2 extending their drive here as Chicago gets it across, but both players over tighten on the side. Rizzo and JNaps actually managed to stall this one out despite being right on top of each other.
They collide, but that collision has actually allowed Spacestation back onto the offensive half, but they won't be able to hang on to the ball, and JNaps wisely will let this one roll down. Unfortunately lost the challenge though, so Spacestation have earned the ball right back on the offensive half. Can they keep it? They cannot. They will yield ground and cleared away and back into possession battle here on the midfield.
AXB towards the goal. Rizzo clears it to the side. Chicago keeps it over the wall. JNaps sends this one down towards the goal. It'll be Sathu out to clear it away. AXB demolishing his own half. Here comes Rizzo. This one bouncing down is still dangerous. Chicago looks to play it across to JNaps back to the midfield. JNaps comes on in and gets it past Typical, but it's wide off to the side. Now a bump onto AXB from Chicago.
Oh, but they give up the ball. Rizzo was expecting Chicago to turn up and take that one, and they've allowed Spacestation out, and JNaps has to make a diving stop.
Demolition on a Typical will relieve some pressure for a moment. Where we saw Spacestation Gaming winning challenge after challenge at the beginning of our series. Oh my goodness.
What a save!
Out and Rizzo gets it away. JNaps blocks it at the top corner. This one's still looking dangerous as it drops back down. Can they tuck it in?
Oh my goodness.
Finally it sneaks into the goal and we've got a tie game.
This was just pandemonium on the G2 line. Everybody jumping at everything. And JNaps, he made one heck of a save the first go-around, but too many double commits, too many cooks, and Spacestation equalize.
Staying alive. 2 minutes, 46 seconds left. And all comes down to this. Chicago, though, with an open net, will put it in and get the lead right back here as all of Spacestation committed on the drive, got beat in the midfield, and it was over.
An unfortunate one, and again, that challenge game from Chicago paying dividends, steals it off his nose. And like you said, Spacestation ready to go the other way. Well, you thought one step too far ahead.
2:41. Rizzo's kickoff win going to AXB. Chicago will meet him. Here comes Sathu. Shot a bit high. Typical looking for a follow-up, but demolished in the air. And the ball still lurking in front of the box. But AXB not in a position to deal with it. They'll break past to Typical. They'll keep the pressure on.
And they command those midfield boosts as well. This is where they really had a lot of success earlier on in this series when they're able to keep this pressure at the midfield line and not have to yield any ground. They need to win this next challenge.
More excellent demolitions from G2. It's that midfield being controlled by Space.
What a shot!
Get the demolition. AXB gets the save. Sathu and Typical will tag team this one away, but it's sent over the top by JNaps. Now AXB, with more time to read, gets it back to midfield. The Rizzo and Chicago a double commit. Now it's up to JNaps as he punts this one high. Give his teammates time to space back out, cover more of the field. With 1:52 left to go, JNaps over the top of one. Carrying this one over the top of AXB as he punts it back out. Rizzo Airborne looking for the read, but couldn't get it towards the goal. Sathu sends it away.
And you're really curious to see if G2 just fall into clock management mode. Pass to the top of the box, down the middle, and I believe Spacestation took it away from their own teammate, and it ends up in the back of the net.
Chicago to Rizzo. AXB and Typical in net. Hard to tell whether it was an own goal or not, but the passing pressure becoming more and more of a factor here as G2 is able to find each other in enemy territory and convert it into goals game after game.
And now it's definitely time control for G2. punch the ball in the corner, make sure you don't get one over your head, and you're almost guaranteed.
Chicago bumping one, looks for the bump on AXB as well, but he gets there and beats Rizzo as well. Now it's JNaps. So he gets past one. Happy to stall this ball, go for the air carries, extend the play as long as possible, burn as much time off this clock. We approach the final minute. AXB out to Sipical, pressuring towards the goal. Rizzo's there and makes the save. Here comes JNaps to extend the play and gets it past the inbound. Rebound. Here comes Sipical. Dropping back down once more. Sathy onto the back wall. Rizzo there. JNaps follows us out. Sipical looks for his teammates across the field.
Oh, that just wasted so much time making sure they held onto the ball. However, they've caught Rizzo in a 1v2. Actually, JNaps is on the line, and still Sipical can't win the challenge. Whew. Camera angles did me no favors, and G2, again, they know the game.
Well, I think JNaps have been demolished moments before that, spawning in the back. He's able to help them out. JNaps now keeping the pressure on again. 22 seconds remaining, down by 2 goals. Space Station's got to find one right now and then find the quick kickoff response. The thing is, G2 knows it too. Knows trickery will work. 10 seconds remaining. They've got to score right now. Sathu up, AXB on the far side, but 2 players on the backboard just to make reading as difficult as possible. AXB back in. Sipical looks for the shot, but JNaps shuts it down, and that'll be the ball game. G2, unlikely circumstances. They reverse sweep Space Station Gaming, who are looking to make a statement here on day number 1. What a performance from both teams.
A battle all the way through, no doubt. Match of the day, I would agree. As G2 Esports, you had to battle every game. Games 1 and 2, you really were wondering, how are we not winning any of these challenges? But the gears started turning. They figured out exactly what they needed to do. And Space Station, try as they might, they couldn't break through that Chicago Rizzo JNaps.
I loved what Space Station was giving us at first, but it did seem like G2 was maybe a bit more sluggish. Maybe that was why they were losing the challenges over and over again. And as the match went on, G2 more and more was able to rely on their own personal prowess to win those 1v1 battles. They take a victory, improving to 1-0 here in the RLCS. That will do it for us over here. It's fantastic. I want to hear what Leaf and the gang have to say about it.
Wow, I don't even know what to say there. That was an incredibly exciting and electric way to end off week number 1 for North America. We thought the Space Station had it there, and then all of a sudden, G2 just, I guess, piped it up.
That's one way to put it. That's one way to put it.
Well, I mean, it just, I think this is the beginning of the G2 clutch storyline, that we saw in many situations before. Chicago especially just clutching it up. Chicago, talk about, roster move. That was one of the big talking points coming into the season. Chicago, how good of a move it was. Well, I think this kind of answers it for us.
Man, 6 goals and 5 assists. It seemed like he was a part of everything. It seemed like Rizzo didn't have a lot to say on the offensive side. He had a few key demos, but I loved his defensive play back in that Game 2 overtime where he doesn't have the clear necessarily, but he's getting the passes to his teammates, some great supportive defense. But I thought with Space Station Game in that Game 2 overtime where they missed 8 to 10 chances back to back to back, we were like, oh, this is the same Space Station. But they figured it out, and they almost had this, but this just shows, hey, it's his first trip in the RLCS, and G2 knows how to clutch these out.
So does credit go to G2 for being able to pull the victory in a reverse sweep, or is it the fact that SSG could not close it out? Because the games were very close. They could have went either way.
Mm-hmm. It's always a mixture of both.
Yeah, a little column A, a little column B.
Yeah, I feel like Space Station, I felt like controlled that entire overtime of game number 2, so they had to win that game, and they got it done. But then G2, they started waking up. I thought we talked about with the Chiefs where it's just the challenge game of Chicago was so clutch for games 3, 4, and 5. I thought he really stepped it up, and I thought it was more on him than maybe Space Station gave.
Well, now, they had to win in a reverse sweep, and one of the questions we've had wasn't just Chicago, but could G2 dominate this season? Do we see Cloud9 and NRG still a little bit ahead in our minds, or is G2 up there now with that reverse sweep?
I think they're right where we thought they were. In my opinion, we figured this game could very well be a close series. It turned out to be that. Space Station Gaming is easily a team that could start being in that top 4 conversation. So I'm not surprised to see them play this well. And NRG, they came out and did exactly what they had to do. They look ferocious. So I think, things still haven't really changed that much. The only thing that has really changed for me today is that I think Ghost is in a little more trouble than I initially thought, especially now that Splice was able to take this series in week 1.
And let's not forget that we don't see the big 3 play each other until week 4 and 5. So there's still a lot of time for them to get warmed up. we saw today, Cloud9, they didn't look that fantastic, but they still got the win, and that's what's most important. Same with G2, same with NRG. The big three, they find ways to win, and that's why they're the big three.
Well, let's take a look at the Week 1 schedule, what we just saw today, and our standings and how those matches went. Again, the only one we had really in question was that match number 3, EG Rogue. It did come out how we thought, but it put us into a bit of a scare.
Yeah, I think a lot of us all agree that the big three didn't play to their peak potential, but like you said, they find ways to win, and they did exactly that. As for the other ones, big credit to the other teams. Like, the games are close. We're seeing excellent performances. I know me and James are huge about that Drippe pick, and that flip reset is nothing you can ignore. So everybody is stepping up, but for you guys, Splice getting that first win, how big of a deal is that really?
Yeah. That's going to be huge because if they can get one more win somewhere, that might be all they need to make a playoff run, and then who knows, that's one best of 7, and they can make it to the World Championship.
And there's our standings now. I mean, again, it's Week 1. It's hard to really tell what's going on, but does this kind of look like what you guys imagined in your head?
You know, the big three, starting out with wins, Evil Geniuses, the other team that we had in the top 4, I think it went pretty much exactly as planned, except for that Splice series. That was the one that, that was the only prediction that everyone missed today, because we all had the exact same choices. It was Splice coming out over Ghost. So I think, all in all, NA is going pretty predictably.
But it's been extremely competitive, I feel like, compared to what we thought might happen throughout this week.
So that's not going to make this question today. I know it's way too early, but I want to look back at this moment later. So remember this moment, you guys in chat as well. Don't be afraid to tweet at us with hashtag RLCS7 as well and let us hear your thoughts. But I want to know your guys' LAN predictions right now.
When you say LAN, are you talking like World Championship?
World Championship.
And so just our North American teams.
Who are our 4 North American teams that are going to LAN based on what we've seen so far?
I know it's way too early.
But that is Week 1. That doesn't mean
but I'll go first, James, because he's trying to dodge the question. All right, so we got the big three, mostly because of experience. We assume that 2 of those will probably be top 2. And when it comes down to one best of 7, I'm going to bank on them winning that game. The last pick is the tough one. I feel like Splice playing pretty well. Space Station played pretty well. I'm going Space Station. I really like
Space Station on you.
I really like what I saw from them, and I think they have a chance to take down EG in probably a 4-5 matchup in that playoff.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Space Station.
You know, it's pretty good. You were 3 out of 4 right. Not bad. That's not bad.
I know Drippe. I know.
Well, you're assuming, all right?
Yep.
But you're right. It is. I'm thinking EG and then the big 3 because Drippe doesn't miss World Championships.
That's true.
You know, and EG, they already came out swinging, but it's going to be a battle. I think Space Station and EG, as right now, I think those are the teams that are battling for that 4th spot. But it is Week 1. It's very early. I wish you didn't make us do this, Lawler, but
it'll be fun to look back in 5 weeks. And see what happens.
Well,
we're recording this?
Well, I'm just glad that you guys also had G2 in that mix because Rizzo might have been listening. I think we have him on the line right now. Rizzo, you there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm here. What's up, Leaf?
Hey, nothing. You know, just watching some exciting Rocket League. You guys, I think, give your fans a bit of a heart attack there. How was that going into a 6-minute overtime? What happened there? What did Space Station bring to you guys that caused you to have a bit of a struggle at the beginning?
At the beginning, I think we were just making a bunch of mistakes, but in that 6-minute OT specifically, they just couldn't hit a shot. And at some point, I just started laughing because it was getting pretty ridiculous. But, I mean, they kept putting pressure on us, but we just kept adapting throughout the games, and it helped us.
Yeah, no, that was nuts. Now, we talk about, of course, Chicago being added to the team. It looked like he was cleaning up a lot of the goals for you guys, being just really strong on offense. Is that where you guys envisioned him when you brought him onto the team?
Yeah, having Chicago on the team has been great. We definitely wanted more offensive pressure, but also more defensive stability, which first 2 games maybe it didn't show so much, but I'll take the blame for that. I did miss quite a few touches. But yeah, definitely on offense, it does happen. Definitely on offense, so that's what we've been working on.
Now, just looking at these rival series teams that made it in from last season, we saw Splice get their first win, and now Space Station Gaming having a Game 5 against you guys, G2, one of the big 3. Are you guys surprised by how well these teams are doing, or do you think maybe it's just a bit of a warm-up period for you guys?
Definitely the first week is a little bit rough. I think every single team that goes into the first week is always nervous, every single season.
Of course.
But for us, I definitely didn't underestimate Space Station. And Also, people are underestimating Ghost, so you should watch out for them as well. Even though they weren't a rival series team, need to watch out for Ghost.
Watch out for Ghost. Hey, man, good luck in your matches going forward. Hopefully you don't give us too many more heart attacks, but we'll talk to you later, buddy.
All right, I'll try my best. Thanks.
All right, peace. Yeah, there you hear from Rizzo himself. Just I guess a little bit of. I just like that he's like, no.
I'm laughing in overtime.
He started laughing.
But that describes Rizzo
the mentality,
to a T, right?
of him,
That's just how he is.
Yeah.
And that also shows that no one on Spacestation is going to be laughing at that moment. But G2's been here, and they've done it so many times. They're like, whatever, it's hilarious, so who cares?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was nuts. We saw so many great plays today, though. It's hard to even pick. We had a lot of potential players of the week, but we do have to finally give out that award for North America in week 1, and it's going to the pirate himself. It's Corrupted G.
That shooting percentage, once again, he's at 40% shooting. It's like last season. It's like the season before that. He just knows how to shoot. He knows how to score. He had the most goals, most assists, and just one less save for his entire team.
I mean, even back when he was on Deception and Denial, he's had a history of being a goal scorer. Obviously, he's had seasons where that hasn't been the case, but in this series, he was there getting those key goals when EG needed him. All around, a fantastic start for EG, especially against Rogue. Corrupted G, he'll be proud of this performance, and EG getting the win thanks to this guy.
Yeah, no, that was nuts. I think not EG, but the whole team. Corrupted G was one of my most improved players from last season, alongside.
You're just biased because he's from Canada.
Well, maybe a little bit, but you got it. Hey,
there's a lot of Canadians.
How many teams have a Canadian on them?
It's like
almost
6 of 8,
all
right?
of them.
Really? I guess that is right.
You need.
It's like all
you
but one, I
basically
think.
need a Canadian.
There's
to do
there
good.
is a Canadian G2. Darn, they're
Yeah,
everywhere.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but anyways, final thoughts from North America week 1. Expected or surprising?
Things went pretty close to expectation, but I'm glad to see the other team stepping up. Even though we had a couple ones that were like, I'm not sure about this. I'm glad they were competitive. Everybody's showing their worth and making sure that they come here ready to play because the season go by really fast.
Mm-hmm.
3 out of the 5 series went to Game 5. That's exactly what I want to see, just competitive Rocket League, and that's what we got, and it's just going to get better.
Yeah, tons of overtimes. I loved seeing Splice get that win. What Karma did in those key moments, that I'm thinking back to that pass from Jay Walls to Karma with 3 seconds left, then the pass to Nose Dude, the flick goal that she had. I really enjoy the story that Splice has had. You know, the story of Karma putting together a team, getting to the RLCS, and now getting their win. I want to see how that story unfolds, but I'm with you guys. It has been a close battle so far. I think it's only going to get more brutal as the season goes on.
And she gets to prove her worth on the stage.
That's true.
Fantastic.
Lots of storylines, and we do get to see more of those storylines unfold next week. So why don't we take a look at week 2 schedule for North America? Again, how do you even start to pick out any of these? Space Station Gaming, we saw them pop off today. Maybe that's a close one for EG. They've been put on the line quite a bit. Splice is going to have a hard one. We've been talking about how good NRG is. And, of course, G2 waiting on that last match. Hopefully no more reverse sweeps having to go in their favor. But you can catch that next week at 11:30 for the pre-show. But, of course, we also have EU tomorrow. We're not done for this weekend. That's going to be at 8:30 Pacific tomorrow. And, again, tons of incredible storylines potentially here. The biggest one that we're going to be watching out for is FC Barcelona, previously known as Savage, is going to be playing off against Dignitas. And remember, Turbo Pulsa, the 3-time winner, is on that team. And in case you missed our pre-show today, you missed some exciting news. We announced where we're going for LAN.